Well. Good morning, lads, lasses, and non-binary folk. How are we all feeling today? Feeling chipper? Feeling spry? Feeling ready to fight and fly and fall down a mountain? Morning, Jay. How are you? Been a while, wow. How can a week feel so long? Because it's been exactly a week, I think. Not exactly a week. The last stream was last week, Wednesday, I think. Been a good week since I started not streaming, I suppose. Oh, hello, Tiberian. How are you? Hello, Tiberian. Join us in a nice, calm, extremely warm Japanese morning, as always. Oh, my hands. I forgot about my hands. Feeling low, feeling slow. Feeling disarmed. We'll show him. There you go. Now I'm armed. Drinking copious amounts of strange soft drinks. Don't know why I've chosen with this today instead of like a tea like a normal human being, but we make our choices. Gonna go on about half an hour, but I'll be lurking. Thank you. We make our choice to drink Fanta, white Torgudepu, Ambassa. No idea what the hell that means. I think it's like white grape. At first I thought it was like Calpus or something like that. That sort of strange milk drink that Japan is very popular for. Honestly, I'm not too sure what I really think about that drink. That milk one. There you go. But yes, it has been an interesting week. How's everyone's last week been without the streams? Fanta and Mellow Yellow, how does that work? My friend said the same thing, I don't even remember seeing Mellow Yellow at all in the good land of Australia. So I didn't even know it was a thing. But apparently they're not the same brand, as I was informed, so it's good to see someone else thinks that too. But apparently, maybe whoever owns Fanta bought Mellow Yellow. There's a branding. Or Japan has different sort of rules about branding. Maybe they made it in Japan first. Oh, yeah, he said that. He said his Mountain Dew ripoff while he was drinking a Mountain Dew, actually. It was rather amazing. But yes, so yeah, I didn't even realize it was like a Mountain Dew ripoff. But apparently, at least in Japan, it is like it's Mellow Yellow and Fanta. Though we did try a bit of it before. Tried a bit of it before. Turns out apparently it is like Mellow Yellow. I thought it just tasted like they had taken Fanta and changed whatever citrus fruit they used in it and made it taste like about 50% less. I don't think they even sell it in America anymore. Yeah, so yeah, one of my the friend I've been helping out, he said it tasted exactly like Mellow Yellow, so it must be the same thing. Or at least it tastes like how he remembers it, so suppose it is just Mellow Yellow. Must have bought the recipe off them after it failed, I suppose. Must Sorry. Yeah, it must have been some sort of weird deal. Don't know what had happened. Mellow Yellow. Fortunately, I already drank the Mellow Yellow, and yeah, we make choices how to hold our teeth. We certainly do, J. Hank. Certainly do. In late 2011, Mellow Yellow was released in Japan. Australia, Mellow Yellow's brand has returned during the 2012 to the 2013 summer with the 1980s logo. I don't even remember seeing it in the 1980s. Maybe my little town just didn't have it. Is it fair to the soda invented by Coca-Cola and the Nazi regime to get around the embargo? Well, there you go. I honestly can't remember, to be honest. Probably, let's be honest. Everything's something to get around the Nazis embargo. Fanta originated in Germany as Coca-Cola's alternative in 1941 due to the trade embargo. Yeah, you're right. You are correct. I don't only drink Sprite. Sodas, I mean. Fair enough. Yes. It's notable that Mountain Dew in Australia had not been caffeinated until 6 months prior to this release. Oh. Yeah, I do remember that happening. And I remember my sister had to stopped my nieces and nephews from drinking Mountain Dew back then because she was one of those people who believed that if you gave caffeine to children who were too small, they would grow short. Well, they wouldn't grow short. They wouldn't grow enough so that they would be classed as short. I don't even remember where that particular piece of wisdom came from, to be honest. There you go, Mellow Yellow. It was a Fanta thing. There you go. But now it's Fanta Mellow Yellow. Because they, you know, wanted to try to change the branding, I guess. It does help that because they've clearly released a few new flavors. Sour white. Yeah, so Fanta, white grape, Ambassa, sour white. No idea what that's supposed to mean. That's the one I've got right now. So I'll hear that, how this goes. Let's see how this goes, everyone. Wait a second. Yeah. That was an awful sound. This thing doesn't seem very carbonated at all. Jesus. I don't know how I like this. Honestly, kind of smells like they've mixed something like a coconut milk with like a grape soda. That's what it smells like. It smells like some sort of like not milk, but like an almond milk or a coconut milk or like a sweetened nut milk plus like a grape smell. Honestly, I like it better than I like the other grape drinks in Japan. You know, if I was a kid, I'd love the flavor of grape in Japan, but as Japan's flavor of grape is just this really extremely strong and extremely overly sweet and strong sort of fake grape flavor. They love to use it. If you've had any, like, you know, gummy bears in grape flavor, you probably have tasted something similar to the Japanese one. Ah yes, nut milk. I do enjoy like a flavor of nut milk. Hey, coconut milk and almond milk has plenty of flavor. It's just not milk flavor. You know, I quite enjoy myself a bit, you know, a cheeky little bit of coconut milk. In fact, I had it recently in a cocktail I made. The one I think I posted on Twitter and Blue Sky, but I don't think I ever posted on the Discord, did I? I don't think I ever did post on the Discord, did I? No, I didn't. Let me show you that. Let me see. Where's the drink? You know what? We're lazy. No, I don't even have it on this computer, do I? Trim. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Sorry. That was an entirely normal reaction to not being able to find what I was looking for. Don't you judge me. Script title is very suspicious. How do we know you've been coming on the 411 replaced by a pod person? What are you talking about? I know everything that The normal and real Eric Winters would know, so ostensibly I am completely indistinguishable. Ah, fuck. Probably shouldn't have said that. Forget that. I'm a completely normal and reasonable Eric. You can't stop me. I drink white grape Fanta and tea and occasionally drinks that humans drink, like I keep forgetting which one it is. Is it ethanol or methanol? One of those two. I really love those, yeah. Really love myself a bit of alcohol. Yeah. Especially when you mix it with other flavoured alcohols. In a cocktail. So I am completely normal and reasonable person. How dare you challenge me, Tiberian? I am the same person who came down from that mountain. Also, rude of you to blame it on aliens. It'd be anyone else. More than just aliens in this world. There's like cool things, like spirits. Yeah. Spirits are way cooler than aliens. You mean the purple grape flavor? The other sushi? I do mean the purple grape flavor, yes. Sort of like that, but it's like that really artificial, really strong purple grape flavor, you know? That one. That's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna delete this one. And let's change the Jay's drink image for a moment to the cocktail I made, which I am very proud of. As a thanks for helping him out, my friend decided to bring me a watermelon, which we enjoyed eating together, and I made a cocktail out of it, which I'm rather proud of. Look at it. It's so beautiful. And a beautiful cocktail. Tasted quite nice too, and it uses coconut milk. That's why I remembered it. That's why we're having this conversation. Made a pretty little cocktail. It's been a while. I've been posting up on... I've actually been using the Twitter and the Blue Sky every time I make a cocktail. It's pretty much the only thing I post other than the streams now. I just keep posting pictures of the cocktails I make because then it gives me like a record of the cocktails I've made. Get my 3 drinks back. The 3 Musketeers. Mellow Yellow. Ambassa. And Wanashi. From Santori? Or Mitsuya. Mitsuya, I think. Well, might be the same company to be honest. Yes. That beautiful purple thing. Oh, point is, I'm completely ordinary human being who had a good time on a really tall mountain. I can even tell you what mountain it is, because it's absolutely nowhere near where we are. It took a whole day's worth of driving to get there. It's because they taste like Concord grapes. It really does taste like Concord grapes, but you don't get that else because Concord grapes are native to the US. Well, I don't get Concord grapes, and clearly neither do the Japanese, because I haven't had a single Japanese grape that tastes like that. It's so strong. So tough. And honestly, this tastes weird as hell. Not too sure what to think about this weird white grape flavor. Oh. You know what I forgot? My water bottle. Might be a bit quick, but I might need to run to the porcelain throne as well. Yeah, I was up this morning, making breakfast and drinking tea. Be back in a moment. Sorry for pausing there for a moment. Give me a moment.
Hello, I'm back. I'm an ordinary human person.
Hello everyone. How are we? Ah, very good. Sorry, I had a frog in my throat. Sorry about that. Back everyone. Bit of a frog in my throat. Completely fine. Nothing to worry about at all. Got my normal water drink so I don't completely destroy my teeth. And I've got my white grape drink, which is good. Should buy this again. Oh, what is it? But yes, very good stuff. Now, where am I? Where was I? I completely forgot what I was doing. Oh, yeah. Drinking water isn't something Eric would do. Oh, quick. Damn, he's got me. I totally drink the water. Water's cool, you know? Water's a drink of champions, you know? Kids don't love water, you know? They're all drinking less water today than ever before. Well, more water today than ever before. Yeah, water. Cool. Cool water. Yeah. Thumbs up to water. I drink water all the time. Don't you? Like, you know, normal human. Yeah. Normal human people. Well, yes. So. Let's talk about it, actually. How'd you all enjoy, by the way, the pictures? I saw you had a good time looking at the pictures that I sent of the hike. I have a lot more pictures. Unfortunately, some of them have me in them, so I can't show all of the pictures, but I might grab a few more of the pictures I have from the hike. Was a really beautiful hike. Really nice mountain, actually. It took a really long time driving to get to it. But this particular mountain is in Nagano. And it's the first sort of long hiking trip I've done with this hiking group that I'm part of. So it was really nice to finally go on one of their big trips. We did actually go on a few hikes during the time I was away. Should have put your model over it. Yeah, that would have been a pain in the ass. I'm gonna admit I was about to say that would have been good. I'm sure it would have been, but it would have been a pain in the ass. So, you know me. We live a fun life of sort of just doing what we can and buying awful beer. Oh, you're gonna see the beer I bought from that local area around Mount Hiuchi in Nagano. Because there was a lodge nearby, and we stopped by for a moment because the other hiking members wanted to go into the onsen. So we went to an onsen lodge after we finished our hike. And after we finished the hike, and I went in too, of course, but while I got out faster than them because, you know, I've never been much for soaking that long in a bath, to be honest. If it's a proper onsen, yeah, sure, but this was just like a big public bathhouse, you know? So I was standing outside. It turned out that, like, sort of, like, spa lodge has their own beer, their own in-house beer brand. And so I bought, and I saw the most stupid flavor, which you will find out when I actually drink it on stream. But, my goodness. It was spectacularly beautiful. Truly. A real beauty of a place. Ooh, I actually managed to take a lot of photos that didn't have people in them. Maybe you did well. Also, I took some very blurry photos of just the path with random hikers on it. Yeah, that would work. I wish I could download whole blocks of photos from where I send them, but it's such a pain in the ass to get photos, you know? From one place to another. I really should invest in a different way of getting photos from one place to another, shouldn't I? The lodge we stayed in had such a lovely view as well. Which I have to admit was very nice. Well, most of the lodges in the area have a lovely view. So it was very nice to stay at this beautiful location. I can't show you the lodge, unfortunately. But I can show you everything else. Walking around with my big hat. But yeah, so essentially the first day, let's just get started, shall we? Talk about the first day. Where's the first hike? There we are. Hike one. Alright. But yeah, no, so essentially we had a fair few hours in the car. Sorry, I've got completely distracted. But a fair few hours in the car, like most of a day. So when I said I was leaving the next day in our last stream, that was the next morning. And we pretty much spent the whole day traveling to the site. Then we spent a few days hiking up and down and all around the place. Separate hikes, not the same hike. Because originally we were planning to do 2 hikes that would be connected to each other. So originally it was going to be a small warm-up hike to begin with, and then we'd start early in the morning the next day after the small morning hike, hike to a certain location, set up camp, stay there for the night, and then hike to a peak, come down, stop, stay for the night at a campsite partway through the mountain range, and then the next morning we'd go up and do the next hike for the another nearby peak. And then we'd come down and head down the mountain. But unfortunately, the weather didn't seem like it was gonna let us do that. So, we didn't end up doing that, and I ended up only doing two hikes. Well, actually, more like 2.5 hikes. But it was really nice. It was really nice. And there's it was just a beautiful location. Just a beautiful location. See if I can't. Man out near that waterfall, I just realised in the photo I took. But the first mountain we went up was only about 1,600 meters tall. But we already started at halfway up the mountain, about 1,200. So we only climbed 400 meters on the hike that day. But the second hike, which was absolutely way too long. The second hike was absolutely very long. And it was about 12 hours hike, and we went from about 1,200 meters to about 2,500 meters up. Which is taller than the tallest mountain in Australia, would you believe? Taller than the tallest mountain in Australia. I'm just getting a few photos from each of the hikes. You've already seen photos. The photo I showed you. The photos I showed you on the Discord and on my Twitter and stuff. Those photos are from the second hike, the much taller hike. You can probably tell from the sort of mountain. Very mountainous, that Japan. You'd better believe it, mate. It's more that the mountains are not just there, they're young. Australian mountains are much older. I also relaxed in a hammock, which was very hard to get into and out of. But it was supremely relaxing. So I'm going to put that picture in. Also, there was a hammock, free to use, in a nearby campsite area that was owned by the actual campsite office itself. And I went and relaxed there for an afternoon, read my books, had a nap, and wandered back to the lodge that we were staying at. For the amount of, for copious amounts of drinking. Because nothing else, if not the Japanese, are good at. Japanese are good at drinking. Let me see if I can't get this set of pictures up, shall I? There you go. Here we are. This is just the first hike's pictures. Look, you can see the back of the hiking groups. There's me relaxing on the hammock. Yeah, look at that hammock. Beautiful. Japanese are good at nothing but drinking. Eric would say. If nothing, they are very good at it. You have to admit, the Japanese do like a good drink. And I wish I could show you some of the photos, but again, sort of. I suppose I could dox where I was. I'm never going back there, am I? It's not like I signed a book or anything in the location, so... Well, I didn't sign a book, so... And it's not like you guys are ever going to go to Japan and find this lot. Well, I suppose you could. I suppose you could come to a place and sign a picture, but it's a beautiful lodge. Like, truly. The view out the back of the lodge is unparalleled. It's something else. Sat drinking my beer. Looking out to this absolutely beautiful... Add one more. There you go, look at that place. Oh. Look at it, doesn't look real, it looks edited, it looks like I turned up the saturation. Look at it, oh. So beautiful. It was a beautiful lodge, too. Though, I will admit, it has been a long time since I've seen so many bugs. Even to this day, I have got probably more than 30 mosquito bites that are sort of slowly recovering, but are still quite itchy often enough. Like, my goodness, such an itchy man right now. There were so many bugs. I forgot how it is to live, because it really brought me back to my childhood, where I'd stay in these old, shitty huts when I went on holidays with my family. And, the cheapest accommodation was usually some sort of shitty hut that was held together through termite shit and hopes and dreams. Granted, those shitty huts did survive several quite powerful cyclones and didn't get knocked over, so who would have thought we should probably study termite shit as an effective binding agent. But point is, it really reminded me of back then when you just sort of lived with the fact that you were going to be covered in insects at some point, and that if you felt something crawling in you, it probably was, but ultimately it doesn't really gonna do any damage to you. But god, there were so many bugs. I live near a lake. probably wouldn't have done if I had remembered mosquitoes exist. I had more mosquito bites than the lake I went camping on in Inawashiro. This place gave me more mosquito bites and more bug bites in general than staying next to a lake. This is not even next to a lake. This is just a beautiful, scenic, alpine region in summer. I chewed up every time I go outside. Me too. We must have tasty blood. We're too cool, healthy, and have superior blood, I suppose. Don't tell anyone I said that. That sounds extremely suspicious coming from a white man with blue eyes. I swear I'm just talking about what the mosquitoes think. The ka. But there were also a heap of hachi, bees, and also a heap of wasps and hornets as well. I'm pretty sure some of them had set up in the ceiling of this lodge. But I didn't want to tell anyone just in case it caused everyone problems. I'm really being Japanese about it. Point is, beautiful. Look at it. Spectacular. Beautiful. Lovely. Ooh. Ooh la la. You can see how steep it is, though, actually. I was taking this picture from a pretty flat angle, but you can see the sort of change in elevation we were dealing with sometimes. Sometimes it was just vertical and we were just climbing a wall. Let me get the next set of images, shall I? You've already seen some of them. Oh god, I'm just looking at these pictures again. But essentially, after this hike, I sat and relaxed on the hammock for a while, and then I came back and we drank a bit, and then we got to bed really early. Because the next day, we all got up. Like the first day, easy hike. Warmed up, easy stuff. We got down, we drank early, we had whiskey, we had good times. We all read strange books that this lodge had lots of. Lodge was absolutely full of books, and for some reason the entire Golden Kamui manga series, which is strange. And also a book called Sugaku o Tanoshimi. Or Shugaku o Tanoshimu. Which means, let's have fun with maths? Or let's play with math? Or let's play with maths, I guess? The fun of let's enjoy maths. It was a manga series called Let's Enjoy Maths, and I thought that was really funny. I don't know why. But it was interesting stuff. Point is, next day, we're up at 3 AM. 3 AM, ready to hike into the darkness. Ready to hike into the darkness, we were. A lot of the pictures are going to be really bad because I was taking pictures on an iPhone in the dark and not stopping, so everything's going to be super blurry. Super blurry. A lot of these, the little pictures I caught random hikers. So, today's drink is just explaining the 3 drinks, J-Hank, but alright. I caught a lot of random hikers in these next few photos. Because I was taking them, most of the photos I took in the morning I had to stop for, so the group were stopping as well to take photos of things. But yes, today's drink is currently whatever the hell Ambassador is. God, it was beautiful though. Got really light really quick, because of, like, by 5:30 we had already climbed by something like 400 meters. An hour and a half in. And also the light had come up. The lights had come up. To be honest here, those bottles look like mayo bottles and hot dog stands. Maybe they are. You don't know. But yeah, so hike 2 was, 12 hours long. So there's significantly more photos, and I significantly got more tired. So we'd already climbed quite high. Pictures of the Hida Mountains, I think. Oh yeah, we could see the mountain. We could see outside the. Wait a second. I'm just. While I'm talking, it's. But yeah. Mayo bottle, eh? Mellow yellow mayo. Mellow yellow mayo. Mayo. White grape mayo. Tasty. Tasty white grape mayo. A delicious Japanese pear mayo. Most of this stuff you've already seen, really, so I won't try too hard with the photos. There are some truly spectacular locations we found ourselves in, though. It's like a bizarre plain on the top of this mountain, otherwise probably known as plateau. We've already got that photo, so I can just use the one we've already got. Some of the low clouds. So I'm just... Should have organised this before stream. Mao! Oh, it's a cat! It's a goddamn panda-ass looking cat! Goddamn! Quick! Get it! Get that damn panda-ass looking cat. What you doing here? Hey? It's weird panda-ass looking cat. So for like 30 hours. Well, I did too, actually. Pretty much after I got back from this hike I was on, I slept for so many hours. There were so many hikers on this mountain, though. This mountain was really popular. Yeah, the moment I got down from this damn peak. I realize Panda Knife's name means he's a knives with panda characteristics. You know, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that's what it's supposed to mean, but you know what? I like this. A lot of hikers on top of the mountain. This mountain was super popular, though. Like, everyone was on this mountain this day. I suppose it was the holidays, but, like, the whole area was completely full of hikers. You could even see the Sea of Japan. Not the Sea of Japan, sorry. The, you know, the sea between Japan and, you know, Asia. From this mountain, you could see it. See it from this mountain, you could. The ocean in the distance. It's essentially the same photo I used there. But then you pandas with knives. It makes a good point. Panda knives. I think your name means you're a panda that has knife-like characteristics. Alright. Let's get these next set of photos coming up, shall we? Could you see Mount Fuji? Not from this place. Also, it's during summer, so it's a bit tough to see Mount Fuji from this location. It is a bit tough to see Mount Fuji from this location. it is a bit tough to see Mount Fuji from this location. So, let's look for more photos. Oh, didn't mean to connect those. Did I accidentally collect every photo? I think I did. There's this. Just be relaxing. Wait, what? You just try and add the same photos back? Weird. Give me a moment. That to that. Bam. Alright, so we start. Early in the morning we do. Into the darkness we walk. Like a found footage horror. These first few pictures do look rather creepy, don't they? I always find they look so creepy. Like, walking along the road in the darkness. Ooh, I look like I'm out of a found footage horror movie. But yes, so... add a few more files. They're in the trees! Sorry, I'm just changing some things. It's flashing a bit. Gonna check. So give you guys in my pocket. We're in Tiberian's pocket, everyone. Quick, scream! Ah! Scream! Be freed from free us from our prison! Please! Let us out of the pocket! Ah! Point is, look at these beautiful locations. So this is essentially... so I think at about... this point, we had already climbed something close to 300 to 400 meters. But unfortunately, this day was not yesterday, and this mountain is not just 1,600 meters tall. We had already surpassed that within the first 2 hours of this second hike. We had already climbed so much high. God, it was steep. It was such a steep hike. We've got these beautiful rivers and lakes. A lot of water coming out of this mountain, by the way. A lot of water coming out of Mount Hyuchi and Mount Myoku, which were the two mountains next to each other. There's also Mount Sasagamine, which was the smaller mountain we hiked the first day. Look at this. God. Never gets old. This is one of the reasons I moved to Japan, I'll be honest. It's this shit. This shit, mate. It's like... green crack for an old man like me. No giant spiders? There were some spiders. There were quite a few spiders. There were so many bugs. Giant wasps, spiders, bees, ants. Strange in the beetles. There was more bugs than I've seen since my childhood, frankly. You know... God, I've been living in cities for, like, city-like areas for so long, I've almost forgotten what it was like to live in the countryside, you know? The proper countryside. Like, I live in a more countryside town, but it's still built up enough that, you know, my apartment doesn't get that many insects. And, you know, I can hear the cicadas, certainly, but I'm not, like, living next to the bastards. But in this, I couldn't turn my phone on at night time to check the time, lest a bug immediately beeline for it. And sometimes it was even a bee. Super big bugs? Some of them were. Japan has the notoriously large Susumebachi, which is a giant... look it up, it's huge. It's essentially a giant wasp. Massive, massive wasp. My god, pandas turn into pada. Point is, they do have some pretty big bugs in Japan. The other's the Geji, but that's perfectly fine and safe. More water. So many waterfalls, too. Look. The mountains in the distance. Those are like the Alps in the distance. That's actually because the mountain there can be seen from the back. Malcolm in the center of that photo is actually the same mountain you can see from the back porch of the lodge we were staying in. So it's actually kind of nice to see. You could see it from a distance. It has a fairly unique shape, so I was like, oh my god, that's the same mountain as we could see from the back porch of the lodge. I thought it was doing. I didn't like it. It'd be magnificent if it didn't involve me losing internet. Let me move myself to the side a bit. Where am I? I always forget where I am. There I am. Move it. But yes, point is... magnificent locations. Keep moving. Then another... I don't know why this has got like a Dutch angle. I'm not too sure why this photo looks like that. But, you know, don't complain, I suppose. Nice Dutch angle of the... It looks like there's nothing here. Let's be honest, this place is fairly remote. Mount Myoko and Mount Hyuchi-san. They are rather remote places. Fairly difficult to get to. My god, my stomach hated me after having to drive up that goddamn mountain. At the winding holes. Hairpin turns and sudden stops and all that sort of thing. It's a fairly popular ski destination during the winter as well, this area. Amazing sex, the bugs and the creatures. Oh, baby, there were so many bugs and creatures. But, you know, I was wearing insect repellent, and the most I got bitten was by... Looks like some sort of found footing, especially when you see the size this place looks like. Yeah, it does look like I'm about to have, like, a monster. I really enjoyed making the thumbnail, by the way. The thumbnail was very fun to make. Like, little giant Eric looking out over the mountains. Beautiful. Oh, look! This was the first, because we kind of were going around a few mountains, like smaller mountains, like on the sides of them, until we sort of got around a corner, and then we could see our goal. This big one. That's Mount Hyuchi, which is what we were aiming to get to the peak of. This, unfortunately, was only about 7 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't get there until about 3 hours later, which is rather quick, to be honest. Maybe it would have been only 6 when we got to this point. It's about 4 hours. Point is, it was a long way away, and I was already getting tired. But, you know, we found along this beautiful place, and moved into this beautiful location. This lovely little marshland. There was also a sort of way cabin halfway up the mountain that was quite nice. And I'm realizing these photos are out of order now. Why was that photo in there? Why are you there? Where did you come from? This photo's completely out of order. So it's a sort of nice marshland. It's the same thing in the marshland, looking down on the marshland. There it is. So this is that marshland I was talking about from the other ways. And it has this beautiful cabin there. We didn't get to stay in it, unfortunately. But, nice cabin. The only place there are toilets in this whole 12-hour hike. So you've got 6 hours to the toilets, and 6 hours to the peak from the toilet. So if you go to the peak, and you need to go to the toilet halfway to the peak, you've got like 9 hours until you can get to the toilet then. Yeah, I'd make that climb. Sure you would. No, Mount Hyuchi. The fog is coming out. A photo that popped up. Do you see any Onis out there? The only Onis I know were like my goddamn 80-plus-year-old hiking partners who were moving like a goddamn Oni. God my god, I was dying. And they're up here like mountain goats. You know, just oof, 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 oof. Can't stop them. Really like, fuck. But then you've got this beautiful... So eventually there's 2 of these. You've got like a lower one. You've got like a campsite. You can sit along the edge of this one. That would have so many mosquitoes. Next to this lodge. But just a bit further up the hill, you have this second lodge. Which I find really funny because it has like a little rock in the center that looks like a person. In the center of this marsh, there's this like rock. Sort of see it. in the center. It's like a little person sitting out there and looking out in the fog, looking out to the marsh. Mist movie fan 1000 yesterday. There are Mist movie fans? I thought that was just like people who were trapped in the Mist movies. But yeah, it was this beautiful place. Oh, another random photo. Why is that photo there? More of that same marsh. Then this is heading up sort of the cliff, and which is where that other photo came from. Let's move back to that other photo, the spooky ass fog photo. So this was like after the second marsh. We're heading up, and we were actually getting high enough that there were a lot of clouds lower than us. So we were sort of in between layers of clouds. You could sort of look out and see. We have this sort of, if you look at the photo like this, it looks like you're looking between the layers of clouds. It's rather beautiful, to be honest. Get back to where we were. That's at the top of the mountain. I don't know why that photo is in that order. Really should. Yeah, screw it. There we are. So, this is as we're working up, and you may have noticed in some of the other photos of the peak itself that, yes, there is still ice on this mountain. There is still ice on this mountain. You are, yeah, you just, we walked past ice. It was pretty damn cool. I think it was the best thing to do. I was so happy. Only could go all the way to the fog and then look back at the camera and then vanish straight into it. I almost could. I didn't take any photos because it kind of looked boring. But when we were at the peak, about, 15 minutes of us relaxing hanging out the peak, I took a lot of photos. And then as we were sort of relaxing, eating our lunch, recharging our energy so we could do the whole hike down again. Hiked all the way up and we had to hike all the way down. The whole peak got covered in clouds, which did sort of seem like the whole top of the mountain got sort of consumed by grey fog, and you couldn't see a damn thing. It was kind of fun. Suddenly having this clear view, and then suddenly getting... And it moves so quickly. Clouds move fast as hell when you're right next to them. You're sitting there on this mountain, you can just watch the cloud roll in. In a matter of minutes, you're covered in it, and you're like, and you can still see it. That's the thing, you can still see the cloud moving past you and changing in shape around the shape of the top of the mountain because of the winds and stuff. You can see patterns in the fog and the demons in the dark. That's probably where I saw the Onis. Floating like ghosts past me in the fog. Which is not fog, because it's well above 200 feet. It's just clouds. It's not fog. Because I am the one who went to the clouds did not come to me. So, I sort of gave myself my own little Silent Hill experience. A very different Silent Hill game, that would be, I'm starting to realize. If Silent Hill was just a hiking simulator, it's like, Silent Hill, it's just a man hiking through fog. The most mundane thing. Just clouds, not fog. Just clouds. But it would be very funny if Silent Hill was on just a hill. Maybe we call Silent Mountain. Maybe the next Silent Hill game could be called Silent Mountain. And it's just about a hiker on a hiking path. There's no town at all. Just like, yes. Yeah, because Eric Winters. But yes, it would be really funny. That would just be funny. It's like it's like a DLC for Silent Hill. Silent Mountain. Everyone's like, oh my god. And it's just a guy hiking up a mountain in the clouds. It's just a completely normal hike. Like, it takes the same time as an actual honest to god hike for like a certain mountain. Like, the whole thing's based on a certain mountain. And the hike takes the same time to go up and down. And nothing happens. Unless you, don't equip the right item. If you forget to equip if you unequip the bear bell for enough time, you just get eaten by a bear. Or else, James running that side of the road and then the game is over. Isn't that dear Esther? Dear Esther. Yeah, well, it's a lot of walking simulator, but I think it would be very funny as a joke DLC. It's just a hike up a mountain. And if you unequip the bear bell or drop the bear bell or something, you can get eaten by a bear. Or attacked by a boar or something. Point is, bear bells. You're so annoying. Our whole group had bear bells, so there was like 8 of us, and we all had bear bells, and they're all different sounds. Like we had like old classic style tiddling sort of bells, not a dinner bell style sound, which is rather ironic considering it's supposed to scare away bears. Also, everyone's gone to the rapture. The other one was the other type was sort of my one, which sounded a bit more like a small cowbell. And the other one was sort of it was sort of like ding, 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 and then you like diddling, diddling, diddling sort of sound. And then you had like the talk sound, sort of a bit more of a loud talking, metallic talk. I can't make that with my mouth. Point is, we were very annoying to any nearby wildlife. But that's the point. You don't want to meet wildlife. Death Stranding 3 is what you experienced. It is. I climbed the mountain. This does look a bit like Death Stranding sometimes, doesn't it? Speaking of, this is part way up, almost to the peak now. By this point, though, I was dying. I was like, God, I just gotta get to the peak. I just gotta make it. I'm dying, man. Ooh. And this was also when my stomach started being upset. No baby or Monster Energy during that. No. No Monster Energy. I only drank water. I drank water, and I drank sports drink, and I ate Calorie Mate, which is essentially Japanese military rations. I survived on military rations and water, and my gut was very upset by the 3/4 of the 90% point, which is this point. Very beautiful thing. So many random hikers. I feel bad about these random people I caught in this photo, but there are a lot of them there that day. Very hard to avoid taking. Like, the peak had quite a few people on it too, so. I've been drinking a lot of water lately. I can't believe it. Panda knives, drinking water. Who would have thought it? Oh God, somebody quick. Buy a lotto ticket. Quick. Check if hell hasn't frozen over. Panda knives is drinking water. Can't believe it. I'm stunned. That's the most surprising thing that I've been told all year. That and a big K drop. Fair enough. Point is, here's the peak. Got a lot of random people in this photo. There's a really funny thing in one of these photos. There's the name of the peak. There's its height in Japanese. Kyuchi-san. Santo? Can't remember. And there we are, looking out over the clouds. And I think this is the photo. If you look closely in the center there, you can see the ocean. And that's the, I also haven't read the title till now. What do you mean I am the same person? No, what are you talking about? I'm the same person. I am just informing you that I went mountain climbing, came back, and I am the same person. I don't know why you're being so suspicious, J. Hank. I'm the same person. Goodness. Seems fairly self-explanatory. I went to the mountains, I came back as the same person. It would be very strange for anyone to change who they were if they went to the mountains. It's not what hikes do. They didn't go soul-searching in India. Any hijacked before Halloween? What are you talking about? I was never hijacked on Halloween. You know, I lived it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Totally. That was understandable English that humans do use. And the normal Eric Winters, as I am, would always sort of go, yeah. I wasn't speaking in tongues. I am a perfectly reasonable and normal human being. He went to the clouds and the cloud person got him. Now it's mimicking his life. No. I'm a completely normal person who has, like stomach problems like everybody else. Point is, you could see the ocean from this hill, and it's very nice. Hill. Sorry. Mountain. I just thought it very funny calling it a hill. Mount Yuchi. I'm pretty sure down here, down on like Really? You totally didn't get photos by the forest creature. Absolutely not. No Kami-sama hissing. But down here, I believe, is the town of Itoigawa. You can sort of see it at the edge of the ocean there. Yeah, the ocean do be nice, you cloud people. Hey, hey, hey. Say something Aussie. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Oi, my. Oi. There you go, that's something Aussie. Onya, man. You're presupposing cloud people can't travel to Australia. I think that's pretty racist. I think that's pretty racist to cloud people. I'm pretty sure cloud people can travel to Australia. You know, clouds have got their own flying service. They're acting like they can't access, you know, they aren't good enough to access, you know, things like flights, you know. It's a bit rude, I'd say. Point is, there's a little town you can see down there, and I think that's either Itoigawa or Joetsu. Don't know. Depends where the peak is facing, to be honest. Depends which way the peak is facing. But it's an extremely beautiful place. There's more pictures of the peak. Oh, this person's hilarious, actually. Let me see if I can zoom into this person. Look at this guy. One, he's looking like that The Traveler painting standing there, but I didn't notice when I took the photo. But if you look closely at this guy, I think his, like, wife or something is in front of him taking a photo of the view. But it just looks like an AI-generated photo because of it. If you look real close, it looks like he's just grown an arm. Because his partner's clearly wearing a blue jacket, which makes it sort of look like the blue background. But you could sort of see an arm coming out of this guy who's clearly got both his arms in the view. So for a moment I was like, did I somehow AI generate a photo? But I didn't. It's just, that just looks like that. And I thought that was very funny. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you the fun thing about those marshlands we mentioned before. The marshlands we mentioned before were called the Garden of the Tengu. Tengu no Niwa. Literally, Garden of the Tengu. I'm mentioning that for no specific reason. I just think Tengus are pretty cool, and everyone should be nice to them. Lest they steal your children. Be nice to the Tengu. They'll kidnap your children. That's right. But yeah, the marshland's called the Garden of the Tengu, where the cool people hang out. The coolest of the Japanese spirits hang out there. Scarisi, you haven't been the cloud trick very often, have you? Point is, I thought I sort of made an AI-generated photo, which is very funny. But I swear I did actually go to these mountains, and I am the same person, and that Tengu are really cool. You know, probably the coolest of the spirits, I'd say. Aren't Tengu shapeshifters? Yeah, they've got many skills, because they're that cool, you know? They've got a lot of skills, because they're cool Tengu. Yeah. Uh-huh. Nailed it. Are they in Ghostwire Tokyo? I honestly can't remember. There are a lot of the old spirits in Ghostwire. The venerable, respectful, and honorable old spirits in Ghostwire Tokyo. That's the last photo I have in this set of photos. So. But yes, I think they were a few Tengu. But yeah, no, the Garden of Tengu. It was a pretty cool name, I thought. Whoever named it was pretty cool, clearly. And who it was named for was pretty cool, clearly. There it is. This area. It's the sort of Garden of Tengu. With those clouds. And the ice. You can see the ice there too. That isn't clouds, that's ice on the side of the mountain. There it is. Oh, Garden of the Tengu. Ooh, look at it. Fun stuff, though. It was a really beautiful hike. I just wish that as I started to descend the mountain, my stomach didn't immediately betray me. Oh, it was awful. My stomach hated me when I started going down the mountain. And then when I got to the halfway point, luckily I had to sit on the toilet and fight for my life for like 30 minutes. I had to like delay our descent from the mountain by like a good 30 minutes because I was dying. And then I was dying on the way down the mountain because my legs were so tired, and there's nothing more difficult than climbing a mountain than going back down a mountain. God, I never thought I would dread seeing a staircase. Every time I saw a staircase, I'm like, oh my goddamn quads! They can't keep, my knees can't keep handling this. I should have been using my, I should have just flown with my, with the wings I definitely don't have. I should have just flown. Would have made it a lot less tiring. With the wings I definitely don't have because I'm a human who doesn't have wings. Yes. But it is just a beautiful place. This is the one I used for the thumbnail, actually. This is the picture I used for the thumbnail. I'm just going to leave this up there and put it behind me. And just leave them playing in the background. Back. Had to restart laptop. Yeah. And I didn't say anything suspicious in that time, J-Hank, so don't worry about it. Everything I said was normal, reasonable, and okay. Oopsie daisy. Damn. Pretty nice, though. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. But as always with these things, I got pretty much immediately sick as I came down the mountain. And I don't know if it's because it's been so long since I've sort of gone up such a high mountain, or I hadn't exercised enough, and it was an extremely tough climb. Like, my goodness, it was not easy. I should have counted how many steps I had for it, to be honest. Where's my exercise? I don't know if I ever recorded it, but it was something ridiculous. The amount of, stuff that I did, it was so crazy. It was crazy. It's a range synchronized deploying for I got cloud. I'm telling you, I'm completely reasonable, and Tengu are really cool. Tengu are pretty cool. Give me a moment, I'm gonna freeze for a moment, see if I can't find. Yeah. Ooh, it was a chill. Oh, just a casual 45,000 steps to go up and down that damn mountain. Casual 45,000 steps to go up and down that mountain. Ooh, fun. And the next day, I did absolutely no steps at all because I was like passed out. I walked a lot on 11th though. The 11th I did a lot of walking. Weird. Cloudy with a chance of meatballs. Cool. No, because the clouds all get turned into meatballs. I don't know why you'd think. Even if I was a cloud person and or a Tengu, why would I think cloudy with a chance of meatballs? That would be like watching all of my family get turned into spaghetti. That would be like a human watching their family get turned into a burger. Or, well, in their case, more converted into something else entirely, so like an alien's version of a burger. Or Cloud9. It's just an esports team. You know, I don't know how Cloud people would think about esports, to be honest. Point is, beautiful time. Absolutely beautiful time. I might get the slideshow and just select all of the pictures. that I've got. Just put all the pictures on. Get them to cycle through. Yeah, so Cloud Strife is your favorite Final character? No, actually, I'm more of a fan of Lightning, actually. It's a joke, actually. I probably like Cloud. Actually, honestly, they're pretty similar in characterization, to be entirely honest. And anyway, he's called Cloud Strife. I don't want clouds to be in strife. That sounds terrible. Oh no! I finished my white and suspiciously cloudy Fanta drink. It's time to go get my other, much more Japanese drink. So give me a moment. I'm back. Oh, see you, Panda. You have fun. You have fun. Oh wait a second. I gotta go. Oh, sorry, I forgot to grab something. Sorry. Back again. Yeah, have fun, Panda Knives. See you when you get around. I don't know how long this stream will be. We'll chat for a couple of hours, maybe. We'll chat and, you know, make it 2 or so hours. We'll see. I'll probably try and make up for lost time with streams this week. So I might stream tomorrow morning and then tomorrow night, if I can pull it off, to be honest. We'll see. We will see. But I'm still sort of relaxing, yeah. I've been quite busy since I got back because I've been helping out a friend, giving him a place to stay before his flight comes soon. Well, it was more until he could get the money from his American account so he could actually pay for his own hotel. But so yeah, he stayed here since I pretty much got back. So he's been staying here for 3 to 4 days. I didn't really want... I felt bad asking him to find a hotel once he had the money, because, you know, he could have stayed here. But I'll admit, a bit awkward to stream when there's someone sitting about 2 meters away from you. I'm a bit embarrassed, a bit bashful. I could do it, and I did do it, because he was actually here before, at the start of the stream. He was, see him, sitting there staring at me, with a grin on his face. But yes, I've been helping out a friend, giving them a place to stay, but he's decided to move into a hotel. I think he was feeling like he was imposing a bit too much, especially because I had done such a long and exhausting, you know, series of hikes, and then I came back and sort of didn't really get a time to decompress on my own. He did leave his phone here. I'll have to give that to him. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. That phone doesn't work anyway. It's broken. Speaking of broken phones, my damn phone had dead pixels on it. During the hike, it developed a series of dead pixels at the bottom of the screen. But now the pixels over the last... I didn't realize this, but apparently iPhones have regenerative abilities. It lost all these pixels during the hike, and then suddenly, as I've been just living with it the last few days since getting back from the hike, the damn thing's been healing itself. All the dead pixels have been coming back. Like, there's only, like, 2 barely visible dashes now of, like, dead pixels. The rest of them all returned to normal working order. Absolutely mad, turns out. Phones can get altitude sickness. Never thought that would happen. Could do it. It'd be pretty awkward for him hearing you do commercials for Key Time Ice Cream. It would be awkward. And I can do it. He was here at the start of the stream. He was here. And I could do it with that. And honestly, he was like, when he heard I do streams, he was like, oh, I kinda want to be able to stream, mate. That sounds great. Seems interesting. This lad's heading back to the US to continue on with his life there. But yeah, he just like it was a bit of a weird difference in time between when his flight is and when his lease for his apartment sort of ran out. And I'm pretty sure he could have just asked the apartment complex to just give him a few more days. And they probably would have been quite nice, but he didn't, so... It's fine. It was for the company he works for was organising the apartment, so I guess there are different rules when it comes to sort of... company... company accommodation, I suppose. But yeah, so he's staying here, and he'll probably be back next week, after the weekend. So he'll be giving me a few days, today and tomorrow, to give by myself, and we'll probably... The company, yes. The company in the town where you work. The job. In fact, actually, I showed him, and he's been hanging out for the last 3 or 4 days. I showed him, actually. I was chatting about Chiller's art, and we had a laugh because there was a convenience store. The convenience store that we went to once when he was here. Because he had left his stuff in like a locker. Like a storage locker. Because he couldn't transport it. Like, he came to my apartment before I got back. I'd given him a spare key before I left. But he couldn't bring a lot of his heavier stuff to my apartment. So I went and picked it up with him. But while we're doing that, from his old apartment, there was a nearby convenience store that looked suspiciously like the convenience store from the game The Convenience Store. Which I mean by, it's ostensibly within the city, but because of how the area around it looks, it just looks completely cut off from the city. It looks like it's in not a field, but like a concrete field, surrounded by nothing. But if you look just right or left of your vision of when you're looking directly at this convenience store, there is a normal city there. It's just weird illusion of the cliff and the forest behind it, giving it this sort of look of in the middle of nowhere and a mountain sort of feeling. Very funny. Kind of gave me the feeling of the actual game, The Convenience Store, and I got him to play it. And he enjoyed it. He really liked it. Good time. You guys showing all your streams while he stays? No. I just mentioned that's something. He knew I streamed before because I mentioned it when we were out drinking once. So, yeah. A lot of people do tend to know. I don't tell you about my channel, usually. But this friend of mine has been the most enthusiastic about the idea. He's like, oh, wow. Streaming? I want to do that. But I think he has a lot of positive associations with streaming. This other friend of mine. You can stay, but my channel is playing 24/7. You are the content. Now he'd love that. He'd be over the moon for it. I practically had to I practically had to throw him out the door. He was like, I want to be part of your stream. Let's stream together. Yes. Maybe one day. You can pop in on Discord. He's a funny guy. I think he'd make a pretty good VTuber, to be honest. He's got the passion about his random topic. The man's an amazing sort of fella, He's a A real wildman. Fellow was like... He's like, you know, practically a geologist. He knows his stones like no other. He's literally panned for gold and been rather successful at it. Like, he just randomly pulled a box out and he's like, oh, I bring this everywhere I go when I travel across the world. I go, yeah, and he's like, here, and he opens it up. And it's just full of gold nuggets he found while, you know, panning for gold and the such. And looking for gold, and he even did it in Japan. Mates found actual gold that was of a saleable amount of gold in Japan. So Minecraft AOL, and that's not the only thing. He's an absolute mad lad, absolute crazy fella. He's like, you know, knows all his animals. He's one of those people who just disappears, and you're like, where the hell do you go? And he's like, he's out walkabout, and then he comes back. He's like, well, I found this cool rock. Man found an emerald. He just walked out. He came up to me and he's like, hey, check what I found out in the mountains nearby. And looked at it. He's like, this big stone on the end of this rock is an emerald. I was like, huh? That's huge. And he's like, yeah. It's very casual for him. He never intends to sell a lot of them. He sold some of the gold just because. But because he had too much. But he just collects interesting stones. And also, in America, of course, he was one of those guys. I remember I was talking to this guy, and I was talking about Australian sort of production and that sort of thing, and I said, we make a lot of beef, actually. That's why beef is relatively cheap. At least when I was a kid, it was relatively cheap in Australia, because it's like we have the most beef in the world. Beef per capita in the world. And I turned to him, I was like, oh mate, how's the meat prices in America? He just looked at me and he's like, well, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I didn't know him well at this point. I was like, you don't strike me as a vegetarian. Do you not eat meat? And he said, oh, no, I eat lots of meat. I was like, then, how? He said, well, I just hunted once or twice a season, and I would never need to buy any meat because you just stick the carcass of the deer in the damn freezer. And you'd have enough meat for a family of 5 for 6 months. And I just was sitting there stunned. I was like, I forgot people like that existed. It's been so long since, you know, hunting for sustenance in Australia has been a thing. I'm sure there's a few farmer friends of mine that have done it. You know, I know a few farmer friends who hunt kangaroos and dingoes and the like, and kangaroos, emus can be eaten pretty well. They are good eating. But usually they give it out to the community or sell off the meat to other people. But I guess you can't do that without certain permits in America. And farmers already have those permits in Australia. So, point is, fella doesn't know the cost of meat in America because he never ate it. He never bought meat from a supermarket his whole life. Man was born in the forest, raised by hunters, I suppose. I was about to say raised by wolves, but I don't even know if there are... Are there wolves in America? I can't remember. Point is, he's that one kind of guy. He can find gold and precious gemstones anywhere he wants. He is a hunter and really savvy. Real savvy fella. Like, if he was able to, I swear he would just disappear into the mountains. You'd never see him again. He was, but I think that would make a good, honestly, I think he'd make a good Vtuber because of that. Because he has all this, like, sort of very strange and intense knowledge. I believe he grew up with his grandfather, who was one of the Native American tribes. Of one of the Native American tribes. So he grew up in one of those sort of tribal areas. Where they all apparently pretended to be Christian. Just so they could, you know, get along with the other people in the community. Yes, there are wolves in America. Or maybe he was raised by wolves, but I think he was just raised by Native Americans. Point is, he's an older fella. Not as old as me, but he is an older fella. He's got white in his beard, but most of the white in his beard is not actually from age, weirdly enough. There's a fair few spots in his beard that are from frostbite. where the damage from the frostbite has bleached the beard and, well, bleached, stopped the melanin production in parts of his beard. So he has several white spots over his beard where he's like, oh yeah, that's just what I got frostbite. And almost lost my face. So, what? He's just, the stories this man pulls out sometimes. He's an endless source of bizarre knowledge and stories. Not just about his own culture that he came from, and his grandfather who told a lot of stories, but his own. Man once saw a deer out his window, and he hunted it in the out in the snow out his window, and he hunted it in bare feet. Because he said he saw it, he made eye contact, and he's like, oh, that deer is... He's like, he had failed to hunt a deer that day. He's like, oh. Then he saw this deer appear on his property. Like, and it sat there and just stared at him. He stared at it and he said, this deer is asking to be hunted. That's what it wants. So he runs out of the house, barely clothed. Practically takes the deer down with his bare hands. Nah, I'm kidding. He did shoot the thing. But point is, he ended up then having a massive deer that lasted something like 8 months. Thank God for freezers, eh? Imagine eating 8 months worth of jerky. Or aged or cured meats. That would have been tough on your liver and your kidneys. Point is, fun fellow. Fun fellow. And I've been hearing, because we hung out a lot. But, we haven't really spent this much time together, from morning to night. So it is rather interesting hearing all these stories. Point is, I think he'd make a pretty good VTuber. Because he has that sort of bizarre perspective I find a lot of people enjoy. And he could definitely make a very good gimmick. He's also quite a good drawer. As many nature people who are really into nature are. He's got quite the deft arm when it comes to drawing. I'll have to see if I can't show him a few photos. He just sits on trains and draws. Sits anywhere, trains and draws, while he commands the local pigeon population with magical powers. He is a rather fun guy, all things considered. My Wildman American friend. Also, I just opened the Wanashi Asahi Mitsuya Cider. Wanashi is the sort of yellow apple or yellow pear or Japanese pear or Asian pear. It's a sort of a big pear. They're quite nice, actually. I really like nashi. Much more than I actually like pears, to be honest. I like the nashi. This is specifically yellow nashi, I think. I like them much more than I actually like the pear-shaped pears. There's a point we use pear in English as a reference to sort of things that have gone wrong. When something goes pear-shaped, it's not a good thing. I don't know why everyone thinks pears are good. They literally mean bad. So, wow, the hand tracker's doing really well today. Don't know why. But yeah, no. So that's been exciting. He'll probably be back sometime. I'll probably invite him back so he doesn't have to spend all of his money at a hotel. I know the hotels around this area are dirt cheap. I'm like telling you less than $40 a night. Angel? You talking about the pears? Are you talking about Angel? Is that French? Angel? Oh, you're talking about the actual pear. You are talking about the pear. Oh. I honestly didn't even realize that it's just pear. Now I'm talking about I feel like the pears I dealt with were rather more mutated in shape. Trading pears did not look like that. That looks quite nice, actually. I'm talking about like, yeah, that more type. Get a picture of it. We have Packham's Triumph. What a name! Packhams, William Barlett. Nah, it's we have the Bier Bosque, we have the Colère and Fiel, we have the Josephine de Malines, we have the Red Angel, we have the Winter Nellis, we have the Red Sensation, the Rico, registered trademark, the Peekaboo, both registered trademark for some reason. Wow, that doesn't even look like a pear. That looks like a grape or a cherry. But no, I'm talking about the Packham's Triumph. Packham's Triumph. That's the one I'm talking about. It's the one I saw the most in Australia because it is essentially in store all year because it gets picked a lot. You can pick a lot, I think. Seem to be able to pick quite a bit of them, but I'm talking about the Packham's Triumph. Let's see if I can get a picture of it. A picture save as a picture. It does save as JPEG. Yay, JPEG. I'm too lazy, so we'll just make the drink image this. This is the shape of pear. It's a lot more pronounced in its pear-shaped nature. This is the pear I'm talking about. Today's drink is a pear. But no, that's the one I'm talking about, and that's the one you see the most, I think, in Australia. I can't remember where it comes from, but they're all from bloody East Coast, and most of them are from Goulburn, probably. Yeah, Packham pears, as I thought, account for approximately 6% of pear production. William pears are 20 cents, the Barlett pears 20%, and Boulet Bosque are 10, and the others are all the remaining amounts. Remaining 20% are made up of all the many dozens of other types of pear. Point is, damn Packham's Triumph. Look at these things. Look at them. They're so weird looking. Like, they look like a librarian. I'd make it level. I'd make you a pear. Oh no! At least put my head at the top, and then make my rear end the bottom. So it'd be like I have a at least I'm at least I am pear shaped. You know. I don't need those apple bottom jeans. No, no, no. I need those pear shaped jeans. Make me look like that Grimace picture. That would be very funny. I would hate to see it, to be entirely honest. I should say that. That would be awful, and I would hate you if you did that, but it also would make a good joke, so I couldn't complain too much. But yes, point is, pears. Bar, Anjou, and Bosque are the favourite varieties. Bosques are so funny. Because to me, as a child especially, I would refuse to eat Bosque because they look like the Packham's pears a bit, but they look rotten. They look like a Packham's pears that is overripe, which is just a really tragic colouring. It's surprised there are 10% of pear production. I wonder if they used in a lot of things. They must be pretty good in cooking. I think my mother used to use them to make any of the sort of pear desserts. She didn't use Packham's pears. She tended to use Bosque. Well, as a kid, I thought they were just Packham's pears that had been overripe, and so they were only good for cooking. Like bananas, when you're making banana cake. You use brown bananas. Which my father had a bad habit of just throwing all of the brown bananas in the freezer and then never making banana bread. So we had a bottom shelf of a bottom corner of our giant sink freezer in my childhood. That was completely useless. Because it was entirely filled with several hundred bananas for some reason. Point is, Beurre Bosque look just so rotten to me. Even today, I can't shake the feeling that there's something wrong with it. Are you a Perry enjoyer? Maybe. I don't know if Perry are in Australia, to be honest. But Perry, that very much is in Australia. But I think... No, it is in Australia. I must have drunk it before. I've definitely had Perry. I don't know if I've had Perry made with the right pear, though. I've had pear cider. Certainly. I've had pear cider in Japan, too. I've had nashi cider, Japanese pear cider. And I've definitely had pear cider in Australia, but I don't know if it's the pear that seems to come up when you look up Perry. But they must be, because Australia does produce it, it seems. God, I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I did like the pear ciders I've had, but I don't know if I've had that specific pear cider using certain specific pears you've used, but I don't think... Yeah, there's a lot of different pear ciders. Definitely had Perry if it just means pear cider. Unless it means... I've never really done much research on pear cider, to be honest. Is it made with a specific pear? Perry? Is it made with a specific pear, or is it just general pears? Anything that's made with pears is Perry. Amount of Perry pear varieties in the UK originate from the countries of Gloucestershire and Hertfordshire, Worcestershire, Midlands, or the Shires, Gloucestershire, Hertfordshire, Worcestershire. Got some Worcestershire in my fridge. Japan just calls it Worcester. I'm not a Perry aficionado. Fair enough. Good old Shire. Sure. We have a place just called The Shire in Australia. It's a region. The Shire. So apparently one of them's... There's also a drama series called The Shire too, but yeah, the Sutherland Shire Council. We just call it Shire. The Shire. Ah, you got to hang out with the hobbits? Yeah! Yeah! If you call, emotionally stunted adults because of drug use the hobbits, yeah, sure. Certainly interesting. What's the go in the Shire? I don't think anyone calls it Sutherland Shire. They just call it the fucking Shire. Jesus, who the f calls it the Sutherland Shire? Why I suddenly turned so Australian all of a sudden? Oh, there's a place called Wedding Cake Rock, and the Sydney Tramway Museum's in the Shire. I guess it does look a bit like a wedding cake, doesn't it? You know what? Good name. Does look as it's about to fall into the ocean, though. Rough times for that cake rock. Old Wedding Cake Rock. Yeah, it's like south of Sydney. It's part of Sydney, actually. It's like one of the bottom corners of Sydney. Campbelltown and Liverpool. I forget there's a Liverpool in Sydney. I always forget that. The Manly too. Tarongazee. Oh, funny thing actually. Suddenly remembered. Thinking of Australia. Suddenly remembered. So we were staying at a lodge, and about halfway through the time we were staying at the lodge, our family came through, a parent and one daughter. 2 parents, 1 daughter. And they literally call it Oyako, parents and child. They just like, like there's a noun for that sort of grouping. And Japan loves grouping people like that. We say, it's a mother and child. And they do the same thing, you know, it's like sort of like a noun grouping, but they just use it with kanji, like Oyako, or husband and wife is fufu. Fufu. It's like husband kanji and wife kanji. And, you know, of like, you know, the whole thing. Point is, very interesting. Point is, yeah, the kid though, high school aged, I think, she had actually gone on a homestay, rather quite close to where I used to live. Like, you know, not too far from where I was, which I thought was pretty amazing, because they were like, oh, where are you from? Because we were just chatting, because we were staying in the same sort of lodge. You know, the common areas were all the same, so I was just sitting, chatting. At this point, I was actually sick, so I was pretty unwell, but, you know, I was sitting there getting some water from the kitchen, and I was sitting there, and they were like, oh, so where are you from? Because I'd laughed at something they said in Japanese, and they were like, oh, he understands Japanese. And so they asked me, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm from, you know, Australia. And they're like, oh. And then the girl was really excited. She's like, it was so beautiful. I went to Australia, and the beaches were amazing. She was chatting away, and like her, you know, in her English, pretty good English, the little girl was. She was pretty good, the English the young girl was. But it was pretty interesting that this in a random mountain, in a random mountain lodge in the middle of goddamn nowhere, out whoop whoop, I ran into a person who was that close to me, and I was still in Australia, because they only went a few, you know, before, yeah, a few years back, which I thought was really interesting, really fun, kind of funny. Laughed at that. Thought it was very interesting. That she was like, oh really? You came to quite close to where I was. Very fun. Bit of a homestay she did. Something I actually always considered to do, actually, in Australia. I was sort of be a host for homestays, but they don't usually let single men do that, which makes sense. But yeah, it would have been cool if I could. I did live, you know, near, you know, on the same property as other relatives, with 2 separate buildings, detached houses. So maybe I could have just gotten my relatives to do it. If we get enough of us together, they'll let us do it. But I always considered that would have been fun to do. You know, I would definitely play too many practical jokes, though. You know, getting them to eat whole spoonfuls of Vegemite, and telling them that, you know, Tim Tam Slam is completely wrong to what they think it is. You know, tell them the wrong definition of a Tim Tam Slam, and, you know, feed them a witchetty grub or something. It'd be a good time. Probably a good thing I didn't become a thing, because I would have to resist the urge to be cheeky. Like all Australians, I would have to resist the urge to lie through my teeth about anything and everything. The moment they ask the question, you look at them and go really seriously and go, yeah, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. And then you go on to say some bizarre thing they need to be careful about. Oh, when you go down to the river, you gotta be careful. There's a little thing nicknamed the ankle biter. Yeah, he's Canine australiensis. It's a very bizarre fish. It'll jump out and try and take your ankles off. You gotta be careful. Most people like to stomp the ground just before they go up next to the river, because, you know, it scares them off. They think it's like a cow or something like that. Big and tough, and they don't want to touch it. You know, sometimes you have to go around with like little fake cow hooves. You slam the ground, or use a piece of metal to slam the ground near the river. So it stops the little ankle biter from getting you. It can be quite painful when an ankle biter gets you. Just like everything else in Australia, you know, they're pretty poisonous. Gotta be careful. The apologists always tell you you're eating it the wrong way. Yeah. And whatever the wrong way is whatever I'm going to tell you to eat it like. I don't think a single person has told anyone outside of the group of people who already eat Vegemite how to eat Vegemite correctly, and it's very funny. And if you were to meet me in real life, I would hand you a spoonful of Vegemite too and say, here. Or I'd give you a piece of bread entirely inundated with Vegemite. I would just hand you a jar and say, use your hands. Use the God-given fork. Use your God-given forks right here. Don't you tell me what to do. I'm a Vegemite apologist. And you have eaten it the wrong way, Tiberian. It is, as they say, as the kids do say, it is a skill issue. You just need to get better. Just gotta get better at it. I don't know, drink more Guinness or something. Though apparently you can make hooch out of Vegemite. Especially if you're doing it on buttered toast. Have you seen how Koala does it? No, do it yourself. Yeah. If you do want to learn from a master, though, go to the koala. And you go, Koala, please. Great koala of the forest, grant unto me the knowledge. That's how the first Australian learned how to eat Vegemite correctly, actually. They actually were like, you know how in like Norse legend, Odin like tore out his eye and then stabbed himself to Yggdrasil for 7 days or 9 days until he learned all the knowledge in the universe. That's pretty much what happened, actually. Except when the guy went to take out his eye, kind of was like a bit scared to take out of his eye. So he didn't. Instead, he gave up his one prized possession for the tree, which was his like cork hat, those like cork dangly hats with like a kangaroo and the word Australia on it. So he gave up one of those, and then he went to stab himself to the Tree of Knowledge in Australia, otherwise known as the what tree is a Tree of Knowledge in Australia? Otherwise known as the eucalyptus tree. But then he noticed, why should I stab myself to a tree and lose my eye? I'll just sacrifice my favorite thing, the cork hat, and a pack of ciggies, and a 6-pack of 4X, and also just stab the koala to the tree. If I can give the koala all of the knowledge in the universe, and then I'll just ask the koala the questions. So he grabbed a koala and sacrificed it to the nature gods. Then the koala did gain eternal and powerful knowledge, which he then taught to all other koalas. And if you ask nicely by giving a pack of cigarettes, a 6-pack of something nice, and copious amounts of eucalyptus leaves, specifically still on the leaf. It's stick-on eucalyptus leaves. None of this eucalyptus leaf salad. No. And if you give that to a koala, they will teach you the secrets of how to eat Vegemite correctly. I had to do it when I was a kid because my parents refused to teach me. It was tradition. So I went to the store at 13, and of course bought myself from the liquor shop a 6-pack of beer, pack of ciggies, which were cheap back then. So I could afford it on my 2 pence. My 2 pence salary, otherwise known as allowance. Bought myself a pack of ciggies and a few, 6-pack of beer, and managed to find a few stick-on eucalyptus leaves, and found myself a koala. Gave him to him, and he took me into the secret koala training facility, and I had to spend 3 weeks there learning how to eat Vegemite correctly. Which is why we always make everyone eat it wrong, because we probably just have a lot of trauma about being kidnapped by koalas. It's really strange that parents let people do that. But yeah, fun bit of Australian culture. Pretty much every child has been kidnapped by a koala and put into like a military-style boot camp. Have you ever tried Marmite? No, but I hear that it is very similar to Vegemite. And it makes sense that they made it, because they were probably taught to them by the mysterious spirits of that green isle. That's probably how they learned of it. Otherwise known as the Irish. The Irish made one too many really dark Guinnesses, and suddenly they realised they just had Marmite instead of Guinness. Somebody left Guinness in a fridge for too long, and it just turned into the Marmite. They're like, ooh, little dear. So full of vitamin B12. Yeah, military service for Australians. And that is exactly how it happens. Honest to God, swear, hand over heart. That's what happens. You do like a weird sacrifice. Like Odin did, except not. We only have to give up some beers and a couple of cigarettes. So, it is a real tragedy that koalas are now an endangered species, you know. One day, the knowledge of how to truly eat Vegemite correctly could die out forever. Could be gone. Could lose it. Which means, you know, Vegemite could be gone forever. The koala. Because once the koalas are gone, we just won't know how to make it. Won't know how to use it. Wait, for real, they are endangered, yeah. Koalas are in danger. And they're not very... Real talk here, they're not a very... it's very difficult for them to live. They have very specific environments that they can survive in. And they keep getting destroyed by people who want to make goddamn car parks. I believe they're threatened. Sorry. Vulnerable. They are vulnerable. Not quite endangered. Sorry. They are vulnerable species because they keep losing a lot of their native habitats. Oh my god! Sanitarium made it? Oh, Sanitarium. Sanitarium Food Co. They're Seventh-day Adventists. Tiberian. And they're connected to the man who originally made cereal, Tiberian. Kellogg's. They're a branch of the Kellogg's brothers, I believe. Or at least, they're a separate company, but they were made because of the Kellogg brothers. The Kellogg brothers had their whole sanitarium, you know? The sanitarium that the Kellogg brothers are famous for. Where they cured people's ills with the power of cornflakes. And then those Seventh-day Adventists came to Australia and set up a company called Sanitarium Food Co. And now they're in South Africa as well. But that is essentially not a branch of Kellogg's. They're an inspired arm of Kellogg's. They're also the people who make Weet-Bix in Australia and New Zealand and South Africa. It's a whole thing. They're Seventh-day Adventists. The name comes from the sanitarium of Kellogg's brothers fame, where it was like a weird cult that believed that if you kept eating cornflakes until your poo went white, suddenly you'd be cured of all ills. And also that any bad thoughts or the enjoying of one's own body in private was the root of all evil. Good time. Point is, can't believe I was just talking about Sanitarium with my friend actually, because we laughed about. I joked about how Weet-Bix, which is very popular in Australia, was just that's fine. The original Marmite was invented in the UK. Point is, Sanitarium is a hilariously named country, but it is. You should look it up. It's even worse when you look into why it's called Sanitarium, because then you go to the Kellogg's brothers and their whole thing. Point is, Seventh-day Adventists, who were vegetarians, and they tend to make that sort of thing. Big company, very rich. Funny thing enough, actually. So originally they used to make, what is it called? God, what was the original one called? What was the original one before Weet-Bix? Weet-Bix. It was like a more palatable Granos. Because Granos was made originally by Kellogg's, I think. And they wanted to make a more palatable version. But there were a lot of Puritans who didn't want to make a more palatable version because that was seen as sort of giving into pleasure, I suppose. Defeating the point of this like sort of very pure, simple, almost aesthetic sort of bit of thing. And then sort of a division happened in this like Sanitarium Food Company, and they split off into two companies, with Sanitarium doing their normal Granos boring stuff, and this new company making, which called themselves something crazy, really basic as well, like Food Company or Grain Company or something. Food should be punishment, huh? No, they should just avoid pleasure, I think is the idea. Created Yeah, they created a company. I can't remember what the original company was called. The whole thing. But point is, it was created as another company was created by these other people who then made Weet-Bix, which is slightly sugar, has a bit of sugar in it. And then when that became successful, they were bought out by Sanitarium, the company they had split up from, to create, company Grain Products. Grain Products Limited. What a name. Boring name. Clearly these Seventh-day Adventists aren't exactly what we call exciting naming people. They certainly don't come up with the most marketable company names, but God, I'm just looking at the tin of Weet-Bix. God, my father used to eat Weet-Bix a lot. And I'm just seeing this old tin, and I remember he had it for my whole life, this tin. Sanitarium Food Company. Can never get away from those Seventh-day Adventures and their goddamn Sanitarium Health and Wellbeing Company. Jesus. Or Bokomo in South Africa for some reason. It was an Marmite's introduction to 1990 under license with a different recipe. It was the only one sold as Marmite in Australasia and the Pacific Islands. I wondered why I'd never seen it. Because of course I have relatives in England who talk about Marmite all the time. But I'd never seen it that much. I did see it once or twice, let's be honest. It's pretty rare to see. And it turns out it's those damn New Zealanders trying to be different, eh? They've always got to be trying to be different, don't they? Marmite, New Zealand. Ah, there's its own specific Wikipedia article. There you go. Good old Sanitarium. Spreading Marmite on a bread with potato chips to make a Marmite and chippy, eh? Yeah, it's rich in B vitamins, that's its whole thing. Rich in B12. Vitamin B12. Got so much salt. Oh my goodness, in 2012 to 2013 they had a Marmageddon shortage. Ah, no. That was because of the earthquake in Christchurch. Makes sense. Can't believe there was that massive earthquake in Japan and then a massive earthquake in Christchurch the same year. That's hilarious. Marmageddon. Marmite's black gold. For 1 year, Marmite was selling for up to $800. Jesus Christ. Go ahead. Dig in. What a clever catchphrase. It's a scary catchphrase. It seems threatening, to be honest. Rather threatening, to be entirely honest, mate. Vegemite. What is Vegemite's catchphrase? It just says, Vegemite. B vitamins for vitality. Sounds like something the healthy food company would do, doesn't it? Do they produce it? Who produces it? It's the Bega Group who produce it. It is the Bega Group. Oh, it was actually later in Australia. First sold in 1920. There you go. Why do companies keep changing their names to really boring names? Like, Kraft Foods became Mondelez International. Yeah. Seems kind of boring. Seems kind of... Oh, so after the disruption of British Marmite imports after World War I, he decided to make a new Marmite. Interesting. The Sanitarium is owned by the church itself. It is, actually. It is a branch of the Seventh-day Adventists. I'm not kidding. These aren't just dudes who turned up and made a company. It is their company. And it makes sense. It's called Sanitarium because it's based on the whole health food thing that the bloody Kellogg's brothers did. The old Kellogg's, fellas. Yeah, made the Battle Creek Sanitarium. What a name. In Battle Creek, Michigan. So the name is based on, the Battle Creek Sanitarium. So it was rather big. Rather big, the whole story. Very funny, though, in a strange way. That this started Cornflakes as a company and essentially redesigned breakfast as a whole, because this guy was insane, and it sort of became in vogue to go hang out at the sanitarium with Kellogg and heal all your ills with the power of cornflakes. Toasted cornflakes. Also where the term granola was first brought up, I think. Absolutely mad. Yeah, so Australia's most popular breakfast item, Wheat Bix, is owned by the Seventh-day Adventists. And they had an extremely popular ad campaign in the 90s, if I remember correctly. Wheat Bix kids, Wheat Bix kids, Australian kids, we're Wheat Bix kids, we're Aussie kids, we're Wheat Bix kids. We're Aussie kids. We're Wheat Bix kids. That's the whole ad. It was really ear-grating after a while. It was goddamn everywhere. But it worked. It bloody worked. They kind of, got a resurgence. They're already quite popular. That was like, sort of, to a new generation, Did they invent graham crackers too? Don't know. Who knows? The guy's called... not Graham, so I don't know why there'd be graham crackers. History was inspired by the preaching of Sylvester Graham. It was part of the temperance movement, which is honestly not too far from how a lot of these Seventh-day Adventists lives, being quite at the temperance movement. Yeah, that's where they all were being like, abstaining from a lot of things. Yeah, I do love this picture of the temperance movement. The steps, the drunken's progress from first glass to the grave. First step, a glass with a friend. Second step, a glass to keep the cold out. A third step, a glass too much. Oh, he's a Presbyterian, indeed. Step 4, drunk and riotous. Step 5, the summit attained. Jolly companions, a confirmed drunkard. 6, poverty and disease. 7, forsaken by friends. 8, desperation, crime. 9, death by suicide. God, the temperance movement were dramatic, weren't they? Ah, good old fellas. Good old temperance. But yes. Hate it when that happens. Yeah, I hate when I become step 5 of the drunkard's life. I have jolly companions and I am a confirmed drunkard. And then I am poor, abandoned by my other drunk friends who I assume would also be poor. Why is it only me who becomes destitute? And then I die by suicide. It happens after the first drink, guys. You have one drink. The first drink with a friend. And then you have the drink to keep the cold out. Then you have the drink too much. Then a drink too much. And then you have drunken riotous. Hate it when that happens. Hate it when I drink 9 separate times and then immediately die. From self-inflicted injuries. Point is, The preaching of Sylvester Graham, he believed that a vegetarian diet was anchored by bread made from wheat coarsely ground at home, and that was how God intended people to live. So, yeah, he sort of believed in sort of going back to before we had industrialized bread production, I suppose. He believed to make it nicer. But it's funny because now graham crackers have a lot of flavors and balances, and they're made into s'mores, which is probably the complete opposite of what Sylvester Graham would like. If you gave Sylvester Graham a s'more, he would probably explode. I think he would probably cease to exist. He'd be gone. Like that. But he was a vegetarian. I don't know how much of that stuff is vegetarian. There you go, we're learning so much. Good old temperance movement. They weren't wrong, let's be honest. Alcohol isn't exactly... Like, I drink alcohol knowing the risks it takes, but some people should never drink alcohol. This is why I'd make a terrible Salvationist, because you're supposed to completely stop drinking alcohol when you're a Salvationist. Which is what my parents were. My father never drank a bottle of alcohol after he had one when he was 19. He had a first drink with a friend, and then he immediately spat it out on the ground and went, "This is disgusting, I'm never drinking again." Mostly white flour, though. They only use graham flour for flavour. Ooh, for flavour. Suddenly skip some steps, went out of existence. Whoops. Instructions unclear. I have ceased to exist. Instructions unclear. I have made a full meal with steak and the most processed... Actually, I ate a full meal of processed meat and vegetables. More processing in these meat and vegetables than is seen in any other meal in existence. I'm sure if you ate a thing that has been suitably processed, you could probably die. Step 11. No clip your way out of reality. Step 11. Whoop! Oh. Step 11. I should get a button that just kind of fades me away. But yes, good stuff. L'alcooliste imposant, c'est oui, non, et vivant, c'est oui, véride. Nuit patriotique contre l'alcoolisme, Bruxelles. The French, of course they didn't like alcohol. The French do have a problem. I still find it funny. I was traveling and I went to a mining museum and I saw this really fascinating story about how this local mining area had, before the introduction of, like, you know, it wasn't a Christian-based thing like a lot of these sort of anti-alcohol things are. This was Japan on its own in a very Japanese sort of mining town. Created sort of like a fellowship of anti-drinking. I know I'm speaking in tongues, I'm speaking French, I'm turning into that character from Tekken that stole my identity. Point is, I saw this fascinating story where, like, sort of, it's interesting to see from a see it come out of a non-Christian sort of society. And it was mostly because, one, they would keep getting drunk, and that causes problems for the mines themselves. But essentially this fellowship was built, and they were like a, sort of like a Japanese old style. This was old. This was like, you know, over 200 years ago. But there's just like all this history in this museum about how this sort of fellowship of no drinking started. Like on its own, it seems. Maybe with some encouragement from the actual mining company itself, but Fellowship of the Ring? No. Fellowship of the Fellowship of the No Beers. Sorry. The Fellowship of the Anti-Beer. Listen to my Bible. Yes, it is true that they don't. But it's like Japan, you'd think kind of like, it's surprising to see it come out of Japan. You know? Never booze t-shirts next to never goon t-shirts. Yes. Well, I think the group had like sort of like haka or whatever they're called. Like the sort of like you see them at festivals, the sort of like colourful pattern jacket you see them at festivals, or back then it was pretty much a way to show who you worked for or what you worked as. You know, like old style firefighters would have these sort of haka that had like the family name on it. Or the mines name, yeah. That's the same thing. But they had those for this sort of no drinking group. But the no drinking group did something I think is really interesting. They approached it in a rather fascinating way. They identified that the reason many of the miners drank was not because of alcoholism. It was because of boredom. It's because of the social lubricating effects of alcohol itself, and the boredom that came from sort of living in a small village with nothing much else to do than mine, do your job as a miner, leave the mine, drink with your friends, go home, eat with your family. It sort of seemed boring. So the drinking started getting bigger and bigger because it was a fun thing to do. Because alcohol has that effect. It does give you that sort of rise of pleasurable feelings in your head, and also makes you feel closer to people you're drinking with. Makes you make friends easier, makes nights funner. So they thought, you know what, if they're doing this because they're bored, or they would do other things if we gave them the choice, they gave them the choice. So there's like, they built, you know, like, they set up, you know, community groups where they could do stuff that didn't involve drinking. It's like sort of anti-alcohol groups that are setting up all of this sort of community stuff that the miners could choose to do other than drinking. And, you know, there was like, you know, performance halls where they'd be able to watch kabuki shows, which is sometimes, if you look back on some of the history of kabuki, is just, they can be quite raunchy. So maybe we're replacing one problem with another, but yeah, it's beside the point. But you had like, you know, dances and kaguri shows and, you know, sumo and all this sort of like local community stuff. They set up all this stuff to do, which sort of and also they set up like family stuff for the miners and the workers to do with their families. They had like community day events where kids and parents could come to do things. You know, they had morning running exercises and all that sort of thing before work, and exercises after work, and sort of this sort of, they thought if they kept adding stuff to do into the community, people would drink less alcohol. I don't know how it worked. I didn't read that part. I was, you know, sort of rushing a bit through the museum. But I thought that was really fascinating, that how they chose to tackle alcoholism was not through sort of, you know, it's not through the... It wasn't even stoicism. They realized it was boredom that, well, at least to their perspective, it was boredom that was the greatest driver of drinking. You know, a person is I'd say a lot of people, if they're watching a play or a performance, are probably a lot less likely to drink as much because they're more interested in the story. Like, think of people who, well, at least in the people I know, when we're like watching a movie, people tend to drink a lot less. Even though we're out together, you know, instead of drinking, when you're like chatting, you tend to drink a lot more, I find. But when you're like watching something or experiencing something, you drink a lot less. In my experience. Of course, we're talking about, you know, I'm just anecdotally. That seems to be what they thought would happen too. I just thought it was a really interesting way to tackle it. To sort of give them more things to do that didn't need alcohol. To watch games, to do sports, to join clubs, to join arts and crafts, and spend more time with their family at these events that they couldn't do drunk. And I don't know how long that fellowship sort of lasted, that sort of group lasted, but they were very big. They pretty much, most of the members of the mines joined that group eventually, and part of the tenets of the group was not to drink, which I thought was nice. I do think it was a nice idea. I like the sort of holistic approach they took. It seems an unusually big approach. It's sort of like a whole village approach, you know? They weren't just focusing on the people who were drinking themselves. They were sort of trying to take action to cut off the root of the drinking. Try and make it less attractive to drink through other actions. Oh, I want to go do this thing, but I can't be drunk while doing that thing, so I just won't drink. Point is, yeah, I think that was really interesting. I really think that was one of those fascinating stories. I like it. I'm sure there's some problems with it, to be honest. I don't know if it worked. I can't remember if it did. I don't remember if I read that. They just told us what was happening in this sort of display, and they showed all like the pictures of the group and how it had like some ridiculous amount of members by the end of it. By the time all the mines in the area closed. It was an interesting. I'm really glad I stopped by that museum when I was doing that long drive. It's just a nice museum. You have a lot of them in Japan where you're just driving along a random country road and then suddenly a sign is like something something kan, you know, something something Dekshikan or something something nani nani kan, and you're like, ooh, museum. Just drive off into the bush. Just right now, just swerve off the road. Take out a tanuki. But yeah, now stoicism arises everywhere, and Japanese are rather stoic themselves, which is generally why Buddhism was quite popular amongst, especially Zen Buddhism was quite popular amongst the samurai class when it became popular in Japan, because they already had like a sort of already inbuilt idea of stoicism. Oh guys, no one appears to have drowned their sorrows. I know, right? That would have really fixed the problem, giving everyone a free PS2 back in the Edo period when these mines are around. But that like fellowship lasted from like the Edo period all the way into like the Showa, I think, the early Showa period. So they were around a long time, that group. They pretty much only disappeared with the disappearance of the mines in the early 20th century. Of that area, at least. There are plenty of mines elsewhere, but that area, the mines closed. Bit of a shame, because I remember when after I left the museum, you could see the evidence of the town, because they had pictures in the museum of what the valley around the museum used to look like. One, there were no trees, which was crazy. Very overgrown now. And you could also see that the valley we're in used to be the town. You can't see hide nor hair of it. The only thing you can sometimes see is the sort of shape of grass and trees seems really square and not natural, because underneath all this grass, this dirt that's now built up, is concrete, you know, like some sort of like solid or concrete foundation of a lot of these older buildings that were closed, that were in this area. And now mines are crypto. No, not this mine. But it was really fascinating to see this valley as you drove back after learning all this history and being able to spot the evidence of an old town that used to exist there. I don't think all of the mines in that area closed until like sometime after the World War II, because they needed them during the war, I guess. But after that, that's when everything started disappearing permanently. And it was really fascinating to see as you drove back through the valley and went, wow, I can see now that I could see the evidence of there used to be a town here. You'd look off into the bushes and you'd see like a staircase in the middle of like what appears to be a forest. It goes to nowhere because that used to be like probably the entrance to somebody's house or something like that. The staircase was much more difficult to get rid of than the house itself. Crazy stuff. Very fascinating, very fascinating. I wonder if that would work better, sort of like a more holistic approach. Just give people more stuff to do. That only works if the person is concerned about the community. These days, everyone just spend all their time on the internet. They don't need community. So there wouldn't be any social pressure. Can't have social pressure if you don't socialize. Which I fear might be the problem with a lot of people these days. How the hell do you social pressure them out of being antisocial? Ain't that the tragedy, eh? Yeah. So, I think we'll start winding down, but we won't finish yet. Oh, the scarecrow's the other user, according to the internet. Oh, yes! I remember that story. Fun stuff. It's not just necessarily other universes, but that was a fun one. I remember that. That was quite fun. I do remember the staircase in the woods stories. Wow, I can still hear sound of people who are still living here. The owner's of the house screaming, "Please, help me! Ah! Please, let me out!" Locked in a basement underneath the concrete foundation. The house is gone, but the people are still there. Ooh, creepy. I should go there at night time. It'd be pretty spooky, I'd say. There are still people who live in that valley, though. You can still find houses that are occupied. And I met a man who was a worker in those mines. I met him. I met a fella. I was at the station. Yeah, I was at the station nearby. Because I was, that's just where everything is in Japan, is around stations. Not done yet. Let me finish the story. And I was sitting there, you know, just looking around, you know, enjoying the things, and there's a cafe near the station. I went and sat down at the cafe, and a father and his daughter, both quite old. The father was like 90. And he came up and they sat down and they both could speak okay English. And so they started chatting to me. And it turned out, yeah, that he had worked in the mines at the museum I had just been to. Which was really quite fascinating, that I just happened to meet someone on the same day. And he doesn't live in this town anymore, mind you. He had moved far away, but he just so happened to come back every year or so because it was where his daughter was born. So he comes back to the town and sort of hangs out a bit for a few days. And I just thought it was fascinating that I was there on the day he was there, just after I'd been to that museum and read all the stories about the mines and the towns and the areas around that don't exist anymore. And there he was, fellow who'd worked in them 90 years back. Well, not 90 years back, 70 years back. Well, yeah, they did close in the 60s and 70s, so not quite 70 years back, 50 years back. Point is, crazy stuff. But yes, we'll wind the stream down there. Let's just do the finishing up stuff so we talk about next streams. So, yes, next stream. Sorry, I've got to cut it off here. I do have other things to do, but I do kind of want to keep talking. But we won't. I've got some stuff to do. So, we'll probably be back again tomorrow morning with, I'm going to say, Yakuza. Yes. Yakuza, I think, will be our next stream. Was Yakuza our last game? Should we play another game? Did we actually... Should we play Little Nightmares? Did we play Little Nightmares last? I think that was our last stream, was Little Nightmares, right? We'll do Yakuza. I think we will do Yakuza. My niece made fun of me, actually, recently. She was recently watching my last Yakuza stream. No, I didn't beat Yaluza yet, because I got distracted trying to impress a child and having to do really hard mini-games, and it hurt my soul. And my niece was talking to me later, and she said she had watched that stream. She made fun of me, because she said I was really bad at it, and she thought it was hilarious. Which was, yeah, good and bad, but yes, we'll play Yakuza next. We're pretty close. I think we're only a few chapters from beating the game, so 1 or 2 more streams. So we'll do that, play a bit of Yakuza, and if I'm feeling up to it, we'll do another stream tomorrow night. That, or we'll wait until, like, Saturday night, because on Saturday and Sunday, there is a festival I want to go to. As there always is. There's 2 different festivals. So, Saturday and Sunday, probably the morning will be kind of... It really depends. I might do a morning stream if I think I'm going to come back late, but I might do a night stream if I'm going to get back to... I'm going to go early. Point is, morning or night, depending on when the festival is. On Saturday, but otherwise, we'll be back again tomorrow. So yeah, we'll finish it there. Thank you all for watching. It's only been 2.5 hours. Did not realize that really flew, didn't it? It's good to be back though. Good to be back. It's good that my body is about 85% recovered. I think I'm most of the way there. Some of me is still not happy that I exist at all. It doesn't like the whole rushing up a mountain, rushing down. I definitely gave myself a bit of altitude sickness, heat exhaustion, and I probably was just sick anyway because I always get sick after I do a big hike. I think the mountains hate me. But yes, thank you all for watching. Remember, cloud people in the sky are watching. Yes. They are watching. I wish they would just talk more on my stream so I could get a higher viewer count. Have a nice day. You have a nice day too, Tabirin. But yes, we'll be back again tomorrow for some more dramatic crime drama in the Yakuza, as the humans say. And as always, good night, sleep tight, and Don't let Eric bite, because Eric is a normal human and he won't bite. I'm a normal person. Completely fine. I'm normal. I'm completely normal. So don't worry about it. Okay? I came back from the mountains the exact same person I left as. And with that, good night.